Hello, good human. I am Dr. Marie Murphy, and I'm a non-judgmental infidelity coach. If you are cheating on your partner or having an affair or engaging in anything you think counts as infidelity, I can help you deal with your feelings, clarify what you want, and make decisions about what you're going to do. No shame, no blame, no judgments. At the end of this video, I'll tell you more about how you can have me as your coach. In today's video and in the next several videos, we're going to talk about various aspects of being the other person in an infidelity situation. And what I mean by that is you, the other person, are involved with someone else who is in a committed relationship with someone else, perhaps a committed and ostensibly monogamous relationship with someone else. And although it is totally possible to be the other person and have a committed partner of your own, today and in the rest of the videos about this topic, I am going to be speaking primarily to you folks who are the other person and are not simultaneously in another relationship. Your only partner is your affair partner, in other words. Your only relationship is the one that you have with your affair partner. But even though that is my focus, I know that some of what I say will apply to you, even if you have a committed partner yourself and you are also the other person in your infidelity situation, right? So here's the most important thing I want you to know if you are the other person. Most of the challenges I see people who are the other person struggling with stem from not recognizing how much power they have in their infidelity situation and or not utilizing the power they have in their infidelity situation. Let me say that in a different way. If you are the other person and you don't like being the other person and you are unhappy with your infidelity situation being what it is, your main opportunity is to start to recognize how much power you have in your situation and start to make use of your power or more use of your power. That is perhaps the single most important piece of advice I can give you. What does this look like in practice? Well, let's take an example. A lot of people who are the other person in an infidelity situation tell me how miserable they are because they can't spend as much time with their affair partner as they want to. This is just one example, of course. This is not the only thing you may be miserable about if you are the other person. But within this example, more specifically, people who are the other person can't spend as much time with their affair partner as they would like to because their partner isn't available as often as they would like or for as much time as they would like, right? And the reason for that, or the perceived reason for that, is because this person is committed to another person and has a life with that person, maybe a family with that person, right? So a fair number of folks I've worked with do two things when they find themselves in this situation. The situation is they're the other person, their affair partner has a partner, maybe a spouse, maybe a family. And because they have this committed relationship and maybe the family that goes with it, they can't or won't spend as much time with the other person as the other person would like. So what do people do when they're the other person in this situation? Well, one, they start complaining about their affair partner being unavailable without doing anything other than complaining about it. Two, they try to convince their affair partner that they need to spend more time with them or have to spend more time with them or should spend more time with them. Some folks even try to manage their affair partner's schedule so that they can spend time with them more often or otherwise attempt to get their affair partner to be more available to spend time with them, the other person. Now, I want to suggest that it is totally legitimate for you to want to spend more time with your affair partner, right? But even so, neither of the strategies I've just mentioned are great uses of your power. Complaining about not getting to spend as much time with your affair partner as you would like, or trying to convince your affair partner to spend more time with you are probably not strategies that are going to help you get more of what you really want. So, how can you exercise more of your power in a situation like this? Let's talk about some options. First and foremost, if you want to spend more time with your affair partner and you've never explicitly told them that, you might want to tell them that. If you want something from someone and you haven't exercised the power that you have to tell them what you want clearly and explicitly, you're relinquishing an opportunity to co-create the kind of relationship you want to have. So if you haven't yet told your affair partner that you'd really like to spend more time with them, you might want to do that, maybe even soon. Now, it's really important to point out that telling someone what you want is different from complaining about what you don't like or trying to convince someone to get them to do what you want, right? Saying, I would really like to spend more time with you is very different from saying, you never spend enough time with me. Asking, is there any way you could carve out more time to spend with me this week is different from trying to convince someone that they really shouldn't go to the farmer's market with their family or whatever. If you haven't stated your preferences in a clear way that makes your request explicit without complaining or scolding or demanding, you might want to do that. Now, on the other hand, if you have told your affair partner that you'd like to spend more time with them, and you feel good about how you've conveyed this message, and yet they aren't spending more time with you, it may be time for you to start asking yourself if you are okay with being in a relationship with someone who is only willing or able to spend a certain amount of time with you. But a lot of people don't want to ask themselves that question. They just want their affair partner to spend more time with them. They don't want to ask themselves questions about what they are willing to take responsibility for dealing with, because doing so might lead them to decide that they want to step away from their relationship with their affair partner, and they might not like the idea of doing that one bit. Perhaps you can relate. And when I'm talking to a client who's in this situation, this is where people sometimes try to convince me that their affair partner really is able to spend more time with them. Their affair partner really could find a way to get away from their family or get away from their committed partner and spend more time with them, the other person. Or sometimes people tell me about the elaborate lengths they've gone to convince their affair partner that they really do have more time available to spend with them. Here's the thing, people. It might be true that your affair partner is technically able to spend more time with you. But if they aren't choosing to do so, isn't that the more important piece of information for you to decide what you want to do with? I would say that it is. And this is one of those things that is true in any relationship, not just in affair relationships. If you are involved with someone and you have let them know that you have a preference for something within the relationship, like say how much time you spent together, and the person you're involved with isn't meeting your preferences or isn't doing the things that you would ideally like for them to do, your power lies in deciding what you are going to do, not in trying to get your partner to do what you want them to do. You can certainly make requests, but if your person doesn't respond favorably to your requests, especially if you've made your request multiple times, trying to change their behavior is not your most powerful next move. Changing your behavior is a far better use of your power. So if your affair partner isn't making themselves available to spend as much time with you as you would like, you have a decision to make. Do you want to stay in a relationship with this person and take as much time with them as they'll give you? Or do you want to leave the relationship and make yourself available to find a relationship with someone who is just as available to you as you are to them? Now, some people really don't like this question. They really love their affair partner and they really want to spend more time with them in the short term and in the longer term too, perhaps. They don't want to make themselves available to be in a relationship with someone else who is more available than their affair partner is. They just want their affair partner to be more available. Maybe you can relate to that too. But the thing is, that option just might not be on the table, meaning your affair partner spending more time with you might not be an option that's going to be available anytime soon. And if it isn't, your best option may be to decide what you want to do with this reality rather than arguing with this reality. As Byron Katie says, spiritual teacher Byron Katie says, when we argue with reality, we only lose 100% of the time. And on top of that, as I like to say, we only feel terrible 100% of the time. When we argue with reality, we only lose 100% of the time, and we only feel terrible 100% of the time. Pretty awesome deal, right? So if your affair partner isn't spending as much time with you as you like, your two most powerful options may be to end the relationship, even if you love your affair partner deeply, and on whatever timeline makes sense for you, find a partner who is available to spend more time with you. Or you can choose to stay in the affair relationship and figure out a way to make peace with seeing less of your affair partner than you would like to. Now, there are other choices you could make too, but they may not be particularly powerful ones. For instance, you could stay in your relationship with your affair partner and continuously tell them how sad you are that they aren't more available and hope that they'll change. You can absolutely do that, but is that going to get you more of what you want the most in your love life? Probably not. Now, again, what I'm talking about here applies to all relationships. If your person has some feature that you consider to be a bug, and you ask them if they're willing to change, and they either truly cannot change or will not change, you get to decide if you want to stay in the relationship and figure out how you handle that feature / bug differently, or you can choose to leave the relationship. Within the realm of consensual relationships, you always have these options. And yet, for some reason, a lot of people like to convince themselves that they actually don't have those options if they're the other person in an affair. A lot of people really like to convince themselves that if they are only involved with their affair partner, and their affair partner is married or is in a committed relationship, their affair partner actually has more power in the relationship than they do. Sometimes the logic holds that it's because their affair partner has a committed relationship to fall back on. Sometimes there really isn't any logic whatsoever, right? Sometimes the thinking is that the married affair partner has the supposed security of a committed relationship. And because the other person doesn't have the supposed security of a committed relationship to fall back on, therefore, the other person is the less powerful member of the affair couple. I am sympathetic to these lines of thinking, but only to a point, and I don't agree with these lines of thinking. And far more importantly, I've never seen these lines of thinking actually help anyone figure out what they want to do about being the other person in their infidelity situation. If your affair partner is married and you are not, your life circumstances are different for sure. But the fact that they are married and you aren't does not give them more power in your relationship with them than you have. However, here's the kicker. If you think they have more power than you do, you will probably act as if they have more power than you do. And that behavior may have consequences for you that you really don't like. When we believe things are true, we tend to act as if they are indeed true. But the things we think are true are not always true. So if you are the other person and you've been feeling miserable in your infidelity situation, because you think you are powerless or less powerful than your affair partner, I want you to think again. I want you to start to look for all of the ways in which you are very powerful indeed. And I want you to start to exercise more of your power. Doing this will completely change your experience of being the other person. Try it out and see. And if you want my help learning how to recognize and exercise your power within your infidelity situation as the other person, let's work together. Sometimes we need help seeing where our power lies. Sometimes we need help exercising more of our power, especially if you have been unhappy with how your relationship with your affair partner has been going for a long time. And especially if you have been believing that your affair partner has more power than you do for a long time, you may need help seeing your situation differently and engaging in your situation differently. And that's exactly what I'm here to help with. So when you are ready to empower yourself to deal with your infidelity situation in a different way, and more importantly, in a way that is truly right for you, there are two ways you can have me as your coach. One way is to enroll in my online course. You're not the only one. This course contains powerful teachings and assignments that will help you apply my teachings to the specifics of your unique infidelity situation. Once you have the tools I give you in your hands, you become so much more capable of seeing your situation differently and making better use of your own power. You can enroll, and you're not the only one, through my website, mariemurphyphd.com. Or you can become a private client of mine. If you want to work with me one-on-one via Zoom, the first step is to schedule an introductory coaching session with me. And you can do that through my website too, mariemurphyphd.com. All right, good human. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.